Okay, so this is actually my second take on this video because my first take was a little bit nasally. But now, okay, I'm back with my cup of tea. It says pumpkin everything, so that's the nice thing about cold and flu season is it's fall. I have my tissues here in case I need to blow my nose. Requesting, please, my beautiful editor Mercy, please clip that out if I have a nasty nose blow. But I'm here, aren't I? And that's kind of been my motto, to be honest, for the past few weeks, I'd say. I have really been trying to maintain the number of things that I'm doing, and that has forced me to really look at the quality of things I'm doing. So I thought that maybe this would be a good episode to talk about self-care. Being in a doctoral program, life doesn't stop. So I have been going to class, yes, and doing my readings, but I've also been working a full-time job and trying to make time for friends, family. It always seems like there's somebody who's telling me like, oh, I haven't seen you in forever. And I am really grateful to have a big, beautiful support network of just like amazing people in my life who have lifted me up to this point where I am now. But it can be a lot, to be honest, just keeping up with everyone and everything. I also live about an hour away from a lot of my friends and family, so logistically planning things takes a little bit more time. I can't have as much spontaneity as I might have in the past, and in some ways that's good because honestly it helps me with discipline and focus when it comes to getting my schoolwork done instead of like filling up all of my quote-unquote free time, aka time I'm not at work, with like socializing, which is what I used to do before I was in this program. So it really has forced me to really think through, okay, like what is a good time to hang out. And that said, the other side of that coin, when you're trying to like block off like days on your calendar to spend time with people socially, is that your whole life becomes very scheduled. So what I learned recently as far as self-care goes is that I really crave like some spontaneity and just unscheduled time. So a big thing as we're progressing toward the middle of the semester, I think we're in week 7 out of 16 weeks, I believe. So soon enough we'll be hitting that point where it's the middle of the semester. I'm starting to feel those kind of mid-semester blues where it's just like, oh wow, I have so much ahead of me, so much behind me, right? Just kind of like you're feeling the weight of the pack on your back. So I have decided that Sundays from now on for me are going to be unscheduled. There's one exception, which is a wedding that I'm going to be attending next month. And so of course that has to be planned out ahead of time. But aside from major events like that, unscheduled Sundays, we're not going to schedule to go get brunch with somebody on a Sunday. Reason being because I just need time to kind of be a blob and a goblin and exist without having to think about timing and scheduling and waking up at a certain time, going to bed at a certain time, because I have to wake up for work early every day, and I have to go to bed by a certain hour to make sure I'm getting enough rest. And what I found is with weekends, if I want to get my schoolwork in and socialize on the same day, then I also have to plan my wake up and go to bed times, and honestly it's getting to be a little bit much. So trying to prioritize myself and like my need for that spontaneity. I think that's really important. Our professor for research methods, shout out Dr. Geiger, asked us to reflect on 2 of our strengths throughout the semester and really like try to like hone in and call upon those strengths. So for me, I chose creativity and curiosity. And I think that both of those strengths require spontaneity. For me, I've always been a creative person. I find a lot of kind of renewal and like refreshing energy coming from creative endeavors. So I love to paint, I love to draw, I have made video games before. Clearly I started this YouTube channel as a sort of creative endeavor. Creative writing, really just, I mean, like graphic design, anything that you can think of. I do marketing as a big part of my job, and obviously that's a very creatively focused type of work as well. So that said, I think that, you know, any artist knows to be creative, you need time like being almost bored for that like spark of curiosity and interests and heightened, you know, aesthetic sense to be provoked. You need an empty space. You need a blank canvas in some ways. So that's what I'm trying to cultivate with those unscheduled Sundays. I'll let y'all know how it goes later in the month, since it's something I'm like just now starting. Some other things for self-care. You might have noticed the nasaliness. So I do have a stuffed up nose right now. I'm trying to take my vitamins, make sure I get enough water, just like those basic like healthcare things, to make sure I'm taking care of myself, but also like resting a lot throughout the day. I think I just have like a little cold that I got from my partner Joe, and that has been, I think, a challenge this week because it really made me confront like, you know, I can't be going on full blast at all times. I can't be at optimal level of performance at all times. So I'm really trying to kind of underschedule myself in ways where, you know, I'm leaving more hours in the day than I think I need, right, to accomplish the tasks that I have on deck. That's another, I think, thing with me. I have been in position before where I was holding 3 jobs and in school, and just really, you know, go all the time. Like I'm working in high stress environments and all of that. And I was taking a bunch of classes and I was just not happy at that time in life. I was really overwhelmed. So I think that's why I'm so cognizant about burnout, is because I don't want to be in that place that I've been in the past. Another thing as far as self-care goes that I've been trying to practice is, well, I mentioned like perfectionism can show up in multiple ways. One way is like you feel like I have to have the highest quality of work at all times, right? Because that is a reflection of me and I want to come across as perfect. I just spilled tea all over my white pillow. No. Oh no. Okay, wait. Time out, pause. I have a little technical difficulty. Oh my goodness. Talk about right, like perfectionism and wanting there to be no mistakes. Aww. Well, I guess it's on theme anyway for me to be talking about like dealing with perfectionism, and I'm like, I don't want to hold the tea-stained pillow where the viewers can see. So, okay, we'll embrace it. There's 2 aspects. There's like the quality of work that you put out and everything, but also for me, a big aspect of perfectionism and the way it shows up for me is that, like feeling the need to do it all and make it look easy, right? Feeling the need to hide the level of work that went into something, or to pretend like, you know, I had the best like process or carried things out in the most like responsible way. And just like basically it's not only about like the product being perfect, but about the process being perfect. So something that, you know, I'm trying to do is just be more honest about where I'm at, and just not only present. I don't think I ever like lied or anything like that in the past in school, but I would just more like not speak on what I was going through. And so, for example, in class last night, we were talking about this and that, like we're doing these presentations on faculty members that we interviewed, and I was like, I have horribly procrastinated on my faculty like presentation and handout, and so now I'm in a spot where like I have to iron it out like by the end of day tomorrow, which is now today, and I was like, yeah, I have to do this ASAP, because I told the faculty member they would have time to review the materials before I, you know, send them off and show them in class. And so, yeah, that's, you know, me just being honest about like, I procrastinated, which is something that for me, like as somebody who has ADHD, like it is a big insecurity of mine, you know, when I try not to procrastinate on things, and then when I do, I kind of feel like I'm letting myself down in a way. So the fact that I said that, and then there were people that were, you know, just reacting nicely, and people who were laughing and they could relate, and so I felt like that was really a nice thing. And I think that that is something that I'm embracing more and more of, is just like the messiness of life and this journey. We had a couple of guest speakers in our class last night, and they were just very down to earth, very nice people, and I'll link their information in the bio, specifically like the article that we read from them was really interesting, and it's open access, but I think like what I got from that discussion last night, these researchers who are really really into something called discourse-based interview, where you're kind of like asking, you know, why somebody made the choice that they did rhetorically. So like in a writing project, like why did you use this word instead of that one? And you know, what was your thinking process behind that, right? So they're like very much into that style of interview. And anyway, we were talking about their interview participants, and they work with students a lot of the time, and they have a lot of respect for students, and they were just so supportive of their participants. You know, they mentioned like, oh, you know, we have developed these relationships with participants where it's not just the one-off interview, but you know, they had mentioned something about like in their job or in their school that they were trying to achieve, and you know, we were like, hey, we're writing people, we can help you with that. And so, you know, there is this kind of like opportunity to like, you know, support these people who are, you know, giving so much to you as a researcher. And I think that again, that just like communicated something to me about being in this program is like joining part of an academic community that I really love, honestly, and it being a support network. And that is something that I wanted coming into a PhD program, was just to feel like I was surrounded by like-minded people who, you know, we can support each other and kind of help each other grow on this journey. So yeah, I don't know, I guess as far as self-care goes as well, it's also just like me just kind of having these like authentic connections with other people, and just feeling like I can be silly, I can be messy, I can be whatever, as long as I show up as myself. And in that way, I'll be able to, you know, find my people. So yeah, I think this week has been particularly intense because on the work side, I had some urgent projects. Obviously, you can hear me being a little sick. And then school is school. To be honest, it wasn't really a heavy week with school so much. It's more so that, so we'll have our recommended or required rather readings, but then it's like, okay, I did the required readings, but then there's also all these topics that I'm interested in that I want to do additional reading on. That's optional to me, and it's just kind of self-led, independent study. And I think that that's where like this part of the semester gets heavy, is because I'm like, oh my gosh, I have my fingers in so many pies. You know, some being just like books that I'm reading or listening to. One of the books that I'm listening to is a recommendation by Dr. Geiger, is called Transcend by Dr. Kaufman, and I'll put that in the description as well. But I think that one of the things that I am learning too is like, okay, we gotta put some of these things on the shelf. I can't explore everything all at once. So I'm listening to an audiobook, and then I'm also I'm collaborating with one of my classmates on a proposal for a research article that we want to publish with an academic journal. So we'll see where that goes, but that said, I'm glad to have a partner, because to be honest, I feel like I could not do that on my own right now, and I'm really like needing, even for this YouTube channel, you know, my partner is one of my best friends, and she's an amazing video editor, Mercy, and you know, if I didn't have her to support me in making these videos, I really don't think it would get done, to be honest, because I love filming and I love talking. It's kind of a sort of therapy, and it is a form of self-care for me. However, the editing part, specifically when I'm editing myself on video, is more stressful, because it's obviously you're scrutinizing everything you say, everything you do, the way that you look, the way that you sound, and it just gets to be a lot. I find it a lot easier to edit video of other people. So shout out to all the YouTubers out there that edit their own videos. I edit my own TikToks personally. I do have a TikTok. If you search for me, it's Angie P. I'm not sure what my short form name is on TikTok. I guess I'll link that below too. Gosh, I'm really like promising to link a lot of things in the description, and I hope y'all hold me to it, because I am just off the cuff saying this right now, and I don't have the best working memory, let's be honest. So anyway, self-care. I'm trying to center myself on the topic of self-care as an anchor for this episode, because it's kind of like, in a way, I'm talking about being all over the place right now and like grounding myself. So that in itself is kind of grounding me, so I don't digress too much. Other things for self-care, well, I mentioned trying to do creative stuff, like making these videos. Painting is something that I was doing more of earlier on in the semester. I've kind of fallen off of, and I thought, oh, like I want to get back into painting. But I think the thing is with painting is like you have to do your whole setup. There's kind of like a sort of, how to say, like an obstacle, like a psychological barrier or obstacle to cross to like getting set up with something. So another example of something that's like obviously very important for self-care is like physical fitness and like exercise. And before I started school and before I started working full time, I was going to the gym 3 times a week, and I was working out. I was, you know, doing treadmill, doing the weights, doing yoga. Like I was in my fitness, right? And I was exercising a lot. And I kind of fell off on that because it's just the mental hurdle, like, okay, I gotta get dressed for the gym, and then I gotta go drive to the gym, and then I'm gonna work out, and then I'm gonna come home, and then I'm gonna take a shower. You know, like, it's like, oh, it's gonna take a lot of time and effort, right, to put toward these things. So one of the things that I'm trying to do more of lately is taking walks just in my neighborhood. I live in a very nature forward area in Houston. I'm kind of on the outskirts, and so lots of trees and trails and things like that here. And So I'm very lucky to be able to just walk outside of my house and then walk around the neighborhood, and just like have some pretty things to stare at. And that has been really big for me, honestly, in my physical fitness. Now, I will say what keeps me motivated to walk frequently. Let me take a pause. What keeps me motivated is I have a watch. Hopefully the camera focuses and y'all can see that. I have just a simple watch. It's not like a Samsung or an Apple Watch or anything like that. In fact, I used to have a Samsung watch and I don't know what happened to it. It disappeared when I was moving earlier this year, and I was very sad and kept on holding out hope. But my step count significantly went down when I didn't have, an accurate measurement of steps. And so that was something that kind of like fell off. Earlier this year was me going on walks, and then now I've got my little cheap Amazon watch and I'm back on it. I'm taking walks. And another thing that keeps me motivated to take walks is I have started playing Pokemon Go again. I listened to a really fun podcast episode that was about like the feeling of like malaise that can come over you sometimes when you get like into a routine, or you're in like a low stimulation type of environment, like you're spending a lot of time at home or whatever. And the guy mentioned like playing Mario Kart with his family and how like that's enough of like a dopamine hit to like essentially like change your whole attitude and mood if you're like regularly playing like a silly little game. And I feel like that's kind of honestly been what Pokemon Go has been for me, because it motivates me to go outside, go on walks, and I catch my little Pokemon. And I used to only play it like so that I would have stuff to trade with my niece and nephews when I go and visit them. But now I can't even use that excuse. I'm just having fun. And so I play Pokemon Go a lot. I've got my little watch, and I've been going outside, and it's been really nice. It will be nicer when it gets cold outside, because it's still high of 90 in October. So hopefully it's not that way for too long. But yes, going on walks, really what I would recommend to anybody, who kind of has the same mindset where you're like, oh, like I would like to do some sort of fitness, but like who has the time, whatever, is just like, don't try to do it in the perfect way. Try to do it in the way that makes sense for you. And it can be a very small thing, honestly, like very small. It doesn't have to be this whole like for an hour or even for 30 minutes. Like I will go on walks sometimes just for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, right? And I have been thinking as well, like wanting to reintroduce weights and weight training to my routine. I still don't think that mentally I can get over that obstacle to get back in the gym. So I'm probably gonna be like literally like lifting little weights in my garage. As well, like people will think like, oh, you have to have like this most strict routine of like when you do it and what you do and da-da-da. Honestly, like that's something that works for some people, and especially in certain periods of your life that you can accommodate that. However, for me, what works best for walks is just like when I get stressed out from work or schoolwork, and like I just feel like I need a brain break, I just go outside. So it's more of like a physical body reminder to do it rather than like a time-based reminder. And I think that's for the best for me. Like I said, spontaneity is something that I like to incorporate a lot of in my life. It gives me joy and peace to create room for spontaneity. So that's kind of what I got to say about self-care. Gosh, I mean, so much more. Final thoughts, I guess. Some of the things I've talked about, like when it comes to like time management, I mean, this is the way that works for me, is a spontaneity thing, right? Creating space. That's not everybody's journey. I think what's most important is to do things that make sense to you and not shame yourself for needing what you need. I think a lot of times, you know, we grow up and we're really put into a box, and somebody tells you you have to live life a certain way, or to be this standard that you want to set for yourself. This is the exact prescribed recipe to get there, and that just doesn't make sense, because we're human, and that means that we're so unique and all different, and have like just all these amazing like different ways of doing things and achieving the same goal is going to look different for everyone. So, you know, there are times in my life, for example, you know, I work a hybrid job. There were times in my life where I was working full-time in person, and it was very mentally draining on me. You know, somebody who has ADHD, like, I get overstimulated easily. It's hard for me to like focus my attention on working if there are people around, because like I'll be trying to like listen in on their conversation and then be like, oh, I shouldn't be listening to Steve dropping, and then, you know, people will walk by and I'll be like, hi, and I'll get caught in like a 2-hour convo with them, obviously, because I love to yap. But I would really question that instinct, and I would say, whoa, like, it's not so bad for me to work full-time in person, you know, why can't I just be like other people who, like, it's so common for people to do that, right? However, like, why am I trying to compare myself to people who are not me, who don't have kind of the same brain as me, they don't have the same body as me? It doesn't make sense for me to try and, you know, also subscribe myself to somebody's lifestyle that I don't even like it. I don't like it. I don't want to be them. So why am I trying to like make myself into them, right? I like me and who I am, and I want to embrace who I am and live my life my own way. So yeah, I guess that's one of the most important things about self-care is like self-love. And I mean self-love in a deeper sense of not like, oh, like, you know, you go girl, like, you're so hot, like, you're so smart, you're the best person ever. Like, not that kind of like a superficial type of self-love, but a deeper sense of self-worth. And that just like you inherently who you are is good, right? And like good enough, and you don't have to change who you are at your core. Now you can grow, but the core of yourself, and that core is different for everyone. So I can't tell you what the core of who you are, but I think you know, like in your heart, who you are, and what things are kind of changeable, and what things about you are immutable. They're just, you've always been this way, and you actually like that about yourself. And I think those are the things to embrace and really like learn to live with, instead of trying to change yourself just to like meet some standard that doesn't make sense, right? That you don't want, but maybe you feel like obligated to adhere yourself to. Yeah, that's been a huge lesson for me, really. And I think that's how I've gotten to this point today, where people go, you do so many things, oh my gosh, every time I talk to you, you have like all these things going on, but you know, you still seem like very, you know, like happy-go-lucky and optimistic and all these things. And yeah, it's because I have done my best to just cultivate a space where I can be authentically myself, and I'm still working on it. I'm always trying to achieve balance and peace and joy in my life, but I think I'm doing a pretty damn good job so far. Anyway, I think I'll probably wrap up the episode here. Shout out to anyone who's getting a little sicky this fall. I'm right there with you. Okay. I'm doing my best. I'm here, aren't I? Right? Today is a day. And I wanted you to know I am so happy to have some of my classmates watching. I brought up this YouTube channel in class last night, and just kind of like offhandedly we were talking about like ways we leveraged our strengths, and I mentioned this channel as like an outlet for creativity. And a lot of my classmates asked for the link, and my professor said that he's gonna add it to our class like resources. And so I don't know, I just want to say shout out if we're in class together. Thank you for watching. Please let me know, everyone, if there's anything I talked about in this video that you feel like you want more discussion on, or if there's something I didn't mention in this video that you would like for me to make a video on. I'd be happy to do so. Just leave a comment, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.